the house.
Go on a vacation.
So I only understand two things, that there is a bad EMI, there is a good EMI. I go for equities. See, every month I have to put my salary to job. I don't do, every month I decide on, tomorrow I'll decide, tomorrow morning I'll get my salary and I'll decide where I'm putting in.
And I'm a hardcore equity guy. Personally, outside of mutual funds, I invest in Indian equity and US equity. And equity is a great democratic product. आप रिक्शे वाले के बच्चे हो, आप साधारण आदमी हो, lower middle class, upper middle class या billionaire son. Equity is a great level.
Hello and welcome everyone to AUM Finance Podcast. This podcast discusses the first principles of investing and is for informational purpose only. We intend to add to the body of knowledge. Please consult your financial advisor before taking any investing decision.
So I was going to ask you a question. Let's say you have to go away 10 years and you cannot check your portfolio. And you have a big net worth. You are an ultra HNI. So in which product will you put your money? एक ही scheme select करना है, एक category, not scheme, one category, and you cannot check it for 10 years.
No doubt, ICICI Prudential multi-asset fund.
Multi-asset. You'll put it in a multi-asset fund. Gold ऊपर गया तो gold will make money. Equity गया, equity will make money. And more is capturing risk.
And what proportion to put in which one can be decided by the fund.
You come out with a scientific formula for that, right?
Correct.
Okay, fine. What is the ICICI Prudential philosophy? Without naming product, if you can tell the philosophy of your company.
See, the first principle in any investment should be, we don't want to lose money.
First is
right?
don't want to.
I don't want to embarrass you in front of your clients. That's what I want to do. Because see, we are sitting in Bombay.
Yeah.
We are managing money. Tomorrow market falls, suppose the market falls 15%. At that point of time, I don't want you to be feeling embarrassed in front of a client. Because you are my brand. See, this business is all about brand. This business is all about
goodwill,
happy customers.
Yeah.
88% of my sales in the month of September would come out of people who are already my customers in the past. Since they have got a positive experience with us, they come again.
Yes.
So everything is customer experience. So the most important thing for us has always been that the customer should not get a negative experience. So that I'm already in my 50s. I don't want to hear from anybody that we invested with you, I don't want that. I always say that whenever I go to any function in this country, right, 90% of the people I meet are my customers.
Because you are managing Nimesh 6 lakh crore, तो आप जहाँ पे भी जाओगे कोई तो कस्टमर मिल जाएंगे.
कोई भी अभी कल शादी में गया था तो सारे मेरे कस्टमर्स होंगे उधर. So if something wrong happens at ICICI Prudential, forget what happens to my professional life. I am worried what will happen to my social. All my neighbors, 90% of my neighbors are ICICI Prudential customers.
Okay.
Right? So my social life is also very important.
That's for me. That's problem with managing a very big AUM.
No, problem nahi hai. It's an opportunity. It's a privilege. Okay. I always feel that this job is a privilege.
Yes.
I always like this area of equity investment. It always fascinated me.
Yes.
And to make money work for the common man.
Yeah.
And help him to beat inflation is a great privilege that ICICI Group has given me, and I'm very thankful for that.
Wonderful. So your philosophy then?
So philosophy is that we don't want to lose money for people.
That's the first.
So principle. That comes in risk management. So I believe that I run ICICI Prudential risk management company.
How big is your risk management team?
We have got a huge team sitting in risk management. Mr. Amit Bhosle is heading it.
Okay.
And under him, there are a whole set which look at equity risk. They look at debt risk. They look at real estate risk. There are various spheres of this one. So risk is comprehensively looked at by a separate team, which reports to me directly.
So,
right?
Can you spend 2 minutes on on the intricacies of risk?
See, risk management, it is very important. First and the foremost principle of risk management is that the risk department should not be reporting to anybody else in the company, but to the managing director.
Why so?
Because every fund manager will have his own requirement that he wants to give the maximum return possible.
Yeah.
Right? This whole thing needs to be controlled. There has to be a accelerator and brake both.
Yes.
Right? So to
and you should have one leg on both.
So there is the gearing system is extremely important. So the risk manager is supposed to put every fund in its gear. So the risk manager will say this fund can take such risk. He can take what a fund can do is practically decided by the risk manager in the company, because he gives the framework that you can operate within this framework. These are the four corners. You can operate only within that. You are ICICI Prudential Balance Advantage Fund. You can invest only in these stocks. You can only invest so much. So the boundaries are laid down by the risk managers. So according to me, the risk management function is the most important function. And I run ICICI Prudential Risk Management Company. That's how I look at it. Because in this country, again, we are in a country like India, where the nominal growth is 11%. Plus, if the nominal growth is 10 to 11%, if we don't make mistakes, we should be okay. We'll get the nominal growth of the country. Right? So forget, I'll use some jargon, forget alpha. Alpha is the incremental return you get. I'm saying the base return of this country is only so good.
Which is the alpha for other countries.
So forget the incremental returns that you get.
Only if you match nominal GDP growth.
I just want to match the speed at which the country is going. Right? Give me something more than, I always tell my fund managers, give me something more than what the country is doing. Right? I don't want you to be the top decile performer.
Yes.
The philosophy is, I don't want to be the top decile performer. I am okay, be steady. Right? Because if you are continuously be steady, somebody will make a mistake and you will be at the top.
Wonderful.
Right? So that's so broad philosophy. I don't want to lose money for anybody. We want people to make money. We want to make people to make money over a long period of time. Remain invested for 3 to 5 years, and they should have a good experience.
That's Warren Buffett first rule, first 2 rules of investing. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1.
Correct.
And if we control risk, the return takes care of itself.
In a country like India.
In a country like India. Even in US, I see the volatility in US is huge. Last 2 years I've been investing there. I did that Nvidia trade 2 years back, a contra call. And it worked beautifully for me, but it's much more volatile than India. So anywhere, people investing in cryptos and NFTs, they're not looking at risk at all, only taking care of returns. So risk को control किया तो return automatic India में given है. Don't do blunders.
Correct.
Mistake ऐसी करो कि you can rise back again. So you have a chief investment officer known as Shankaran Nareen. Just like you, he is also a brand. So how has he been helpful over the years and what's his philosophy?
See, the drivers in life are common.
Yeah.
The drivers in life is very clear that we want the common man of India to beat inflation. We want the common man of India to participate in the growth in the country. That's a ICICI Prudential thought process. Why are we in this business, right? Vis-a-vis the entire group, the bank, the insurance companies, this is relatively a much smaller business, right? We have invested our brand in this business. So we have to be very careful because for us it is a return on brand invested, right? Our brand is at stake. Right, so we don't. So the philosophy has always been one, ICICI Prudential philosophy, that we try and manage money very carefully.
Yeah.
We are conscious that the hard-earned money of the common man is with us, and that keeps us humble always.
Yeah.
So we there is in investment you always have to see that you have to take risk, right? Without risk there is no risk, no return. So when you take your measured risk, right, what is the margin of safety with which you are going in? Any investment that you make,
yes,
you have to ask yourself, what is the chances of upside, what is the chances of downside? If my call goes right, how much money I make?
And if I go
if
wrong,
my call goes wrong,
loss?
how much money I'll lose?
Yes.
Right. So so there are times that we do go wrong. Right, it's a probabilistic game. We are into a probability game, right? So there are times that we go wrong, and when we go wrong, we should know that how much we have lost, vis-a-vis what is the chance of if we go right, how much money we'll make.
Right.
So that equilibrium that has been so margin of safety is something that we work with, which Naren and me both believe in, and that has helped us. It's called as value investing. That when you are putting money on the table, right? Are you buying something which
much
is at
less,
where
price.
the intrinsic value, where what you are paying is much lesser than the intrinsic value of that particular
Nimesh,
asset
I'll
that
have
you're
to
getting.
ask you to explain intrinsic value.
Oh, yeah, correct. So I
that
should
is
not.
one of the most complicated
The
terms.
people who understand the subject,
yes,
they don't
I
need
know,
to use jargon.
But for my
so that's what I'm saying. So if I use jargon, that means so I should not have used jargon. Intrinsic value is that sometimes people will believe that you have to buy all cheap, right? Value investing. So you're looking out for value deals. So
sasta is not value investing.
So sasta is not always good, right? Sasta, but the value, the value when you you go to buy in a sale, right? You're buying a shirt. When you're buying a shirt, what you're paying for the shirt should be less than what should be the value of you are able to assess that this has got very good fine quality cotton, so it should be available in the market at this is the value I subscribe to that. If I'm getting something at a lower price than that, then I buy, otherwise I don't buy. So because we believe that things which are not in a country like India, where it is very cyclical in nature, there are times where things go out of fashion. If 2 years back, right, 2 years back, if you would have said invest in a power company, you would have wanted me to examine my head, right? 3 years back, 4 years back, remember the whole phase where we had invested in a power company, where we had invested in government companies. People were ridiculing us that how could you have invested? So you will sound it, but it was available so cheap, right? Every company.
It was a value buy.
In the power sector was available very, very cheap. India is growing, right? Power companies are not growing. Power requirement is growing. Power companies were not growing. So it was a sitter that one day the market was not appreciating that, right? The companies were available at much lesser than their intrinsic value, right? Again, I am using the jargon after explaining. The value of the power plant was much more.
कंपनी की जो एक्चुअल मूल कीमत है वो कीमत से सस्ता मिल रहा था कंपनी तो like so margin of safety used कि when an engineer makes a bridge and he assesses that 1 ton truck can go from the bridge, so he should write only 0.8 ton truck is allowed, so that 20% is the margin of safety. 100 रुपए की चीज when you buy at 80 rupees, that is margin of safety. अब as they say, everybody knows the price of the stocks, nobody knows the value
Value of the stock.
Value is intrinsic value.
So our research over the years should be able to, what is our job? Our job is to find the intrinsic value of the companies.
So give one small example, one basic company.
So any company, suppose a company has got a cement plant.
Okay.
Right? The cement plant, he has got so many tons. Right? So production capacity is what it is.
Tons.
So we have to, what is our job is to estimate that in the next 5 years, this is his capacity. Based on the market potential, this will be his production. If he produces so much, this will be what the company will earn for the next 5 years. So if the company earns this kind of money for the next 5 years, its value today is so much. Vis-a-vis what is it available? If its value is 100 and it is available at 70, then it's a good buy. But if its value is 50 and it is available at 70, then it is a good sell. Right? That is our job.
Yes.
So that is what
you do day in and day out.
That is what we do. So our job is only to find the intrinsic value of the company. What is the real
price? Assess whether there is a margin of safety. If there is a margin of safety, यानी market price अगर intrinsic value से कम है तो खरीदो, ज़्यादा है तो बेच दो.
Correct. So that's what we do for a living.
And that has taken you to 6 lakh crore, which in 10 years can go to 60 lakhs crore.
I won't say 60 lakh crores, it can go to 12 lakh crores.
The mark to market will also come in the picture.
So that's why I'm saying I'm being very conservative.
Okay. So you've been a veteran over the years. That doesn't mean I am saying you're old.
No, old is also denoted as wise in India. So
in India, and in the investing field. In the investing field. How has the industry panned out, and where you see the mutual fund industry going the next 7
we are very that's why I said 10 years back, this mutual fund industry was 10% of the banking industry. Right? Today we are 23% of the banking industry.
Wonderful. Okay.
So we are almost 23.9% of the banking industry. In the last 10 years, mutual fund industry has gone from 10% of the banking to 23.9%.
So when you say banking, 10% of banking?
The total deposits of the banking system.
Okay.
The total deposits of the banking systems are 180 lakh crores.
Okay.
Right? So we are 23% of that, around 47 lakh crores.
Okay.
Right? So in another, say 2030 when I project, I believe will become 1/3 of the banking industry. Okay. The banking industry is growing by 10% per annum. So this 180 lakh crores.
And we are growing at?
So we are growing at much higher rate. That is why, that's what I'm putting the numbers into context.
Yeah.
That right now the banking industry is 180 lakh crores. It is growing at 10% per annum. 10% per annum, यानी 7 years में double हो जाएगा. So in 7 years time, it will be at 360 lakh crores. We were 10% of the banking industry 10 years back. Today we are 23.5% of the banking industry. I see ours becoming 1/3 of the banking industry in the next 7 years. Right? The number of investors that have come into this business over the last 3 years, these investors will keep on growing. The Gen Z people have started investing in equity much earlier. My generation invested when they became 40, they started investing in equity.
Yes.
Today, from the first salary, everybody is investing into mutual funds, SIP. People are
you
doing
have
SIP.
data for that?
Yeah. Our investors are quite young today. When I joined this company, my average investor was around 40 years old.
And
today is in his 20s. So the people have gone young, right? My customer base has gone young.
So this podcast is for that young audience.
So that's what I'm saying. So today, when we are gauging the industry, so when the banking industry is 360 lakh crores, and we are 1/3 of that, we'll be around 100 to 120 lakh crores. Today we are 47 lakh crores. So we will grow 2.5 times in the next. So what we have done in 27 years is going to happen in the next 7 years, right? So that's the excitement that I am sitting on.
Wonderful. Okay, wow. And 7 years later, we can say Tata bye-bye to FIs then?
No. Why should we say Tata bye-bye to
if you
anybody?
want to, I mean.
Today also, in fact, the strength that the mutual funds have brought into this country's capital market, last into year 21-22, the foreigners sold every month, right? In the year 2022, the foreigners sold
Since
every
October
month.
21.
So they sold almost $5 billion every month, right? And they sold almost for 9 months. If it would have happened any time in the past, you remember 2011, the market went down. 2012 again it went up. 2013 it went down. 2014, whenever the foreigners would bring in money, the markets would go up. Whenever the foreigners take out the money, markets will go down. Now it is not the scenario because the common man of India has given us so much money that we have got SIP book of around 16,000 crores. Right? We have got EPFO putting in money. We have got insurance company putting in. So $3 billion the foreigner sells will buy every year. Every month. Every month we can buy $3 billion of what he's selling.
That's a given.
So today, when they sold so much, market fell only 10%. Last time they had sold so much, the market had fallen 50%. So
5-0.
In 2008 when they sold, a fraction of what they sold today, and the markets just went south.
So our dependence on the foreign institutional investors is reducing by the day.
But that is the sign of a market which is maturing, where the market depth is increasing, number of scrips in the market is growing, new kind of investors are coming in. So it's very healthy for the capital markets.
Please elaborate what SIP is, what animal is SIP. And I believe, Nimesh, that there are 4 great inventions in the world of money. First was the invention of a joint stock company. Second was invention of the stock market. The joint stock company, if I am a businessman, I can take money from other people who have surplus and then float a business, which otherwise I wouldn't have been able to float if I was only dependent on my money. Stock market, stock exchanges, I think it happened in Netherlands, allowed everybody to participate in the equity of a company. Third invention was invention of mutual funds. I believe it happened in United States. And the fourth was invention of SIP, systematic investment.
That happened in India.
That happened in India. So I just came to know in these interviews that SIP is not a common factor in US and.
No.
Oh wow.
So it's our invention. Strength that I think this country is developing. It is giving a lot of base to the capital markets. As I said just now, 16,000 crores.
In US there's no SIP.
It would be in various forms, various products, but in India
via 401k, but otherwise just in
India
mein
different
hota hai.
forms. But in India, that systematic investment is the mindset of the people that we have, that every month they want to put something. So I think it's a brilliant tool because what it does is that it averages out your cost over a period of time. Right? People, you don't know whether the market is at the right level or not, especially in a volatile market like India. If you invest suddenly and the market corrects 20% tomorrow, you will have a very difficult time. So it is better to average out. So in a sideways market or in a market which is going down, if you have done a systematic investment, normally the experience is good. Till now the experience has been good. So I strongly urge everybody for every goal. Now the younger generation is way smarter. What the younger generation does, I want to buy a car, an SIP for the car. I want to buy a house, SIP for the house.
Go on a vacation.
So I only understand 2 things, that there is a bad EMI, there is a good EMI.
SIP is the good EMI.
Or I will go one step back and say that there was a, Einstein had said that
I can predict the
eighth wonder of the world
is
compounding interest. Those who understand compound interest earn it. Those who don't understand pay it. So it is there are a lot of smart people in this EMI generation. I call them EMI generation, where people take loans. If you take loans, you will pay compound interest. If you use your credit card and you keep it outstanding, you will pay compound interest.
Yes.
But if you put it money in SIP, you will earn compound interest.
Yes.
So you will earn compound interest in the sense that your equities will invest, and once you invest, you will make returns on that. So you will make returns, you will earn rather than spend. So I believe it's a very thing to stay, and it is giving a lot of stability to the Indian stock markets.
Wonderful. And there are two cousin sisters of SIP. STP and SWP, systematic transfer plan and systematic withdrawal plan. I call them three sisters.
Good.
Okay. So we'll go to rapid fire. The first rapid fire is mutual fund versus structured product. You have to select one.
Mutual funds.
Mutual funds. Indian equity versus international equity. Any
Indian
geography.
equity.
Indian equity. Okay. Gold or crypto?
Gold.
Physical versus financial assets.
Financial assets.
Process versus people.
Process.
Okay. And equity versus hybrid?
Depends. So for that, I'll not give a straight answer. Depends on the level of the market.
Okay.
When the markets are relatively cheaper,
Ah.
I go for equities. See, every month I have to put my salary to job. I don't do. Every month I decide on. Tomorrow I'll decide. Tomorrow morning I'll get my salary, and I'll decide where I'm putting in. So when the markets I believe are relatively highly valued, I go for.
And when you say highly valued, you didn't say all-time high. So Nimesh, break this myth. All-time high है तो नहीं डालने का. So
All-time high need not be highly valued, because I would rather look at the valuation levels of the market. What is the PE ratio in the market, rather than look at 66,000 in itself. I would say 60,000 is expensive, 66,000 is cheaper. When the market had touched 60,000 2 years back, right, at that time we felt the market is expensive. Today the market is at 66,000, we don't feel the market is that expensive. Right? It is relatively cheaper than what it was at 60,000. So it is important to understand that all-time high need not be the most highly valued market. There is a difference between the two. Having said that, if we believe that the PE ratios of the market are high, the trailing PE or the forward PE, then I would go for what I call as multi-asset fund or a balance advantage fund, which he has been saying, that the hybrid category of the funds. So when the markets I feel are expensive, I put my salary in hybrid fund. When the markets I feel are relatively inexpensive, I go for equity funds.
And as I keep saying, our age today is at all-time high, but our performance is also at peak. तो all-time high का मतलब ये नहीं होता है कि आगे रिटर्न नहीं बनेगा. This is a big myth.
There is a
Career-wise, we are at all-time high. You are doing AUM-wise, you are at all-time high. Does it mean you will not do better tomorrow?
So that again I'm saying depends on the level of the market.
Valuation.
So there is no one market today. As we are seeing it, you have to also see the various components of the market: the large cap market, the mid cap market, the small cap market. Right. So one looks at today. There is so much data available. You can see what is the PE ratio of the large caps. You can see what is the PE ratio of the small caps. So I would say that in a small cap I would say that it's too highly valued. It's not the time to go and invest in small cap. We say that today, while looking at the PE ratios, large cap is not that highly valued. Though it is an all-time high market, it's not that highly valued. You can invest in large cap.
And then we can also look at themes. Certain themes are high, like banking, financial is not highly valued.
It's one of the most wonderful opportunity. Practically...
Now I'll have to give a caveat. Mutual fund investment are subject to market risk. Please read offer document and every damn document.
But see, the banks are, I think, Indian banking system is squeaky clean right now. The NPAs have been written off by what was in the last decade, the NPAs that were created, the balance sheets have been completely cleaned up. Credit in this country, if this country has to do better manufacturing, if the country has to grow, a lot of new capacities will come into the country. When the new capacities in the country, banks will be lending more. The bank balance sheets will grow. So bank balance, and there with the laws become very clear on winding up of companies, right? NCLT gives out very clear judgments. So today, no borrower can say, I won't pay you the money, and he can run away to the courts for 20 years, right? The decision is made within 2 years, he loses his. So banking relatively is creating much lesser NPAs than what it was creating earlier. So it's a very good business to be in, and it is so heavily over-owned that foreigners, whenever they sell banking. So right now it is a technical thing that banking has been sold by a lot of people. So it has come down. while intrinsically it is a very, very good business right now.
So the intrinsic value of banking sector is more
Than what is
it is
reflected
traded
in the price.
stock
That's what
market.
we believe.
Okay. Nimesh, it is time to turn table.
Okay. So one question that I had for you, that what is driving you today when you are looking at the business wise? What drives you? What excites you to come to office every day?
What excites me? So being in India, that is Bharat today. I believe, like Buffett, I am lucky to be born, lucky to be of the age I am, lucky to be in the profession that I am. I mean, इससे ज़्यादा series of what Charlie Munger calls the Lollapalooza effect. I think Lollapalooza effect हो रहा है. We are going to see India again become a golden chidiya, according to me. In years and decades to come, I hope we live to see that particular day, and we are at the cusp of it. The government is making the right noises. I'm in an industry where I can generate passive income via equity and hybrids for clients, okay, and help them retire way early, help them achieve their financial goals. So if you are and I love this food chain of the mutual fund industry, where you are the manufacturer, I am the distributor, my clients are the ultimate consumers of that service. This is so beautifully designed, it should never be disturbed. Okay, it's a fiduciary relationship. They bet their money on me, I bet my money on companies like you and people like you who are so
I would say
careful.
they trust you, you trust us.
Yes, and it is a game of trust. It is goodwill. So as Warren Buffett says, takes 20 years to build a reputation, 20 minutes to break it. One has to be very careful. So I have an entire bouquet of products to choose from. 44, 45 mutual fund companies to select from, 2,500 schemes to select from. And the most I enjoy is not the money I am earning, Nimesh. What I enjoy is the trust when they tell me a couple of years after becoming my client that you've done a good job, because of you I have been able to marry my child, educate my child, I am able to retire. That's what gives you the fillip. Why? I mean, which other profession gives you that kind of satisfaction? And I'm a hardcore equity guy. I personally, outside of mutual funds, I invest in Indian equity and US equity. And equity is a great democratic product. आप रिक्शे वाले के बच्चे हो, आप साधारण आदमी हो, लोअर मिडिल क्लास, अपर मिडिल क्लास या बिलियनर सन. Equity is a great leveler. And as I just said in another podcast, that only by reading, if I can make money and deploying capital. दो ही तो फैक्टर है ना, रीड करना है और कैपिटल डिप्लॉय करना है. मेहनत नहीं करनी, कोई फिजिकल वर्क नहीं करना है, मेंटल गेम है. And we are fortunate to be born in an era of knowledge industry. Agriculture में I would be useless, industrialization में I would be useless, hunting में I would be eaten away by the wild animals. This is a knowledge industry. तो सिर्फ सोच के, कॉमन सेंस से, नॉट हाई IQ. साइंटिस्ट रहता तो आई वुड हैव बीन बीटन इन द गेम बाय पीपल विद हाई IQ. डॉक्टर रहते, डॉक्टर के अपने इश्यूज है. नॉलेज इंडस्ट्री में, इन्वेस्टिंग इंडस्ट्री में, इट इज़ कॉमन सेंस, loads of common sense, little bit IQ, and reading. And if that helps me make money for myself and for my client, उससे ज़्यादा motivation क्या चाहिए?
Good. So what next one? What do you like about ICICI Prudential AMC?
What I like is that you have one eye on risk. In fact, you have two eyes on risk. And you keep on talking about risk, and you say that word that I want to give happy experience to my customers. And I don't want, and as you said, कि 6 लाख करोड़ अगर आप manage कर रहे हो, so wherever you go, you will find an iPro customer, and you are wary of that, कि I don't want to come across a person कि who has to raise a finger on me. And you are conscious about that, and I've been following you since the time I came in that industry. So that is what gives me, and let me give you one credit, not because you are on the podcast, that I had a feeling that large AMCs don't create wealth. You are an exception to that, and it is not an easy job. जितना मुझे म्यूचुअल फंड समझता है, मनी मैनेजमेंट समझता है, you are one of the rare AMCs. I was a pioneer of balancing my client portfolio. लोग large, mid, small में balance करते हैं, मैं large AMCs और small and mid newcomer AMCs में balance करता था, and I've been proven right, and you are the only exception. Only large guy was there in my portfolio besides one or two other players. Otherwise, I am tilted to the new guys. क्योंकि नया बच्चा जो आता है, I just interviewed a startup, and I asked, why give a premium to a startup? उसी industry में दूसरे लोग हैं. So they say it's status quo with the other guys. Why you expect a startup to grow at multifold compared to an existing player? Because they are young, they are brash. So I believe in AMC also, a young AMC wants to prove itself. But because you have a very strong eye and you are conscious every day कि मुझसे कोई mistake ना हो जाए, you have kept that baton with you and you keep an eye on that, you keep that discipline. So as long as you are at the helm and you have that discipline, I'll value you.
So that's the culture. Again, I'm saying it's a culture. So what is the culture in your organization?
The culture in my organization is downplay, under promise and over deliver. मैं इतना downplay कर देता हूँ कि some of the prospect run away from my office.
Good.
Okay, just downplay.
That is the best thing for
That
your
is the
business.
best thing. So I lose, of 10 people if I meet, I lose 3. In fact, if I start selling, I can sell to anybody. But I say, do not, if somebody says, I have very high expectations of you, I said, sir, मैं risk control करता हूँ, मैं return मेरे हाथ में नहीं है, वो जब आएगा तब आएगा. मैंने आपका पैसा, if whenever the market corrects, we'll correct 1/3 or maximum half of that. That is my objective. Returns will take care of themselves.
Correct.
That is the philosophy I have
Good.
given.
Don't lose money, you will keep on making
Yes.
money. Good.
Thank you, Nimesh. Wonderful.
Thank you for listening to the AUM Finance podcast. Remember that all investments are subject to market and other risks, and one should read offer docs and other documents carefully before investing.